Apex Online Racing is sponsored by Elgato, who created this lovely Stream Deck. For more information about the Stream Deck, the link is in the description below.
Welcome along to round 14 of the AOR F1 Championship, and for the final main European round of the season, we're here at the legendary Autodromo Nazionale Monza for the Italian Grand Prix, where potentially, for the first time this season, there is an opportunity for the title to be decided. One of the oldest tracks on the calendar, approaching a century since it was built in 1922. This track has seen many great races over the years, with some of the highest speeds on the calendar. And in terms of CS17, it was Tyrrell Schnitzel who won the last race here, a good omen as he bids to become a two-time top-tier champion on PS4. I am Mark Alimonda, and shortly I will be introducing Andy Campbell as ever to the commentary booth. But before we get underway with our usual 18-minute qualifying session, let's take a quick look at this track, nestled in the heart of Italy at 5.7 kilometers and average speeds of well over 150 miles an hour, with 76% of the lap taken at full throttle. There's not going to be too much room to relax here with the infamous DRS trains, and the main overtaking opportunities on the two DRS zones will be down to the Rettifilo on the opening turn 1 corner, and we could see 3, maybe 4 wide action going into that particular corner, with other such as the Variante Ascari being another great corner to see some action. 27 laps here today for the session, and we'll go through all the final permutations shortly once we get underway with qualifying. Now, in terms of the tyres, it is the middle range of Pirelli rubber. We may get some wet weather action, can be common at this particular track, particularly during qualifying in a real life sport. But before we get underway with that, as ever, let's take a look at the championship standings in AOR F1 on PS4, where Tyrrell Schnitzel has built up a 170-point advantage with only 208 points remaining for this particular season to play with Speed Barry moving up to second on virtue of his better performances on the podium and equaling the wins of Michael. With Casper in 4th, Stay Frosty in 5th, Jim Roy in 6th, Danny Ng in 7th. Tactician moving back up to 8th in the standings, with Blizzard back down to 10th after his disappointing race last time out in Belgium. And in terms of the Constructors' Championship, well, Mercedes over 100 points ahead in the standings now. Williams looking the odds-on favourites to claim the crown, along with the Drivers' Championship, with Williams in 2nd, Toro Rosso in 3rd, Alfa Romeo in 4th, Red Bull in 5th, McLaren in 6th. But the main big movers have been Ferrari and Racing Point, with Ferrari in 8th, Racing Point off the bottom now, with Haas now occupying the wooden spoon position. And now that we have got all of the introductions out of the way, a brief note on the situation. Last week you may have seen Speed Barry winning the race in Belgium, but actually after steward review, Tyrrell Schnitzel was promoted back to the top step, having won the race on track. So that was his 10th win of the season, and that is a good place to start for Andy, who has finally made his way, signing all those autographs with the Tifosi in the crowd. Andy, a great gig for you last week to visit, but you are back where you belong, and that is in the AOR F1 commentary box.
Yes, indeed. Ciao, Benevento al Gran Primo d'Italia. I've got to obviously get a little bit of the culture in there as well. And thanks very much. Did enjoy the gig last week. I'm very loud. My ears were ringing for the next couple of days. But I'm back doing what I think I do quite well, if I'm not blowing my own trumpet. And that's being in the commentary box alongside yourself. Interesting race at hand, if you can see out on track possibly at the moment. If not, you're about to. It's wet. It's very wet out there for qualifying. Completely full wet tyres on board, everybody. It's going to make for an interesting proposition in the qualifying session. We'll need to see obviously what the weather's going to be like as we go into the race. Will it be dry or will it still be wet? And that will make a big difference as well. If it is dry, we can expect obviously quite a big train. The DRS train is known to be quite prominent around here, and it is obviously it is the fastest track on the calendar. Around about 80% of the lap is run at full throttle in the dry, so going to be a fantastic race here tonight. And as you said in your intro, Mark, A very good chance for Schnitzel to take the championship. And as I said to you in before we came on, he's been first and second every race this year so far. He's been on the podium since, for every race. The last time he was not on the podium, round 4 last season. Austria, round 4, season 17. That's a 19 race podium streak for the championship leader. It's incredible dominance.
Yeah, it is an unbelievable achievement from Thrustmaster, what he's managed to do the past 2 seasons, and that puts him in a position where he could wrap up the title with only 2/3 of the championship gone, which is something in terms of the leagues, at least I've personally commentated on, something I've never seen before for a 21 round season, at least in the top tier of AOR PS4. So some of the veterans of the site, such as Alex, might have to sort of chip in and see if there was ever a title won earlier for a full 21 round season, as we see Alimonda, the sole Ferrari driver for today's race, heading through the Variante Ascari. We will go back on board with him for a full hot lap later on in the session. But Blizzard setting the early time of a 1:38.82. Now, according to our resident weather forecast, it is going to be a full wet session here, so there's not going to be any chance of any dry running here, Andy, but it's going to be a dry race.
Yes, and that is going to be very interesting indeed. So the drivers are going to probably want to go out there. You'll probably see quite a few drivers just pounding around for a number of laps, maybe doing 4, 5, 6 laps on the one set of tyres, finding where the grip is out on the track in these wet conditions as the dry line slowly emerges a little bit in comparison to the rest of the track. But very tricky braking conditions, very easy to snatch a brake and head straight on into one of these chicanes. Probably some of the heaviest braking we see on the calendar, so the drivers really do need to be on their toes here tonight. But a dry race, we will come to the strategy later on properly, will make for some interesting scenarios, and obviously everyone will then have free choice of what tyre they want to fit as well. As you can see, the 2 championship protagonists are already at the top end of the leaderboard. Speed Barry 130.1, 2 times clear of Schnitzel, and a one who's 2 times down, Nicholas Mateo up there in 3rd at the moment, Daniel Alves 4th, Blizzard down to 5th, and Hugh Golf in 6th. And we need to say as well, real quickly, not only could Schnitzel take the championship tonight, but a congratulations to him, and a congratulations also to Michael, who was obviously racing with us earlier in the year, but has moved over to PC. Both of them qualified for the Esports 2020 Pro Draft on Wednesday night. So what a week this could be for the Austrian. He could be a qualification into Esports Pro Draft and win the top tier AOR championship tonight. What a week that would be.
Yes, I mean, that would be an incredible week for Schnitzel if he can get the title done. We will go through the specific permutations during the formation lap of the particular race. Now, Andy, in terms of the setup, traditionally Monza is the one track where you have to get away with as little downforce as possible, otherwise you're a sitting duck on the main straights. But this full wet quali to a dry race makes it, simple in terms of setup, but very tricky for this session at least, because they're going to have to run those dry setups because they have no choice really. They may be able to add a little bit of front wing, but if they compromise their setup for this qualify session, they will suffer badly during the race.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I've just watched Speed Barry head down into turn 1 there, for example, and clicking over 210 miles an hour in the rain. Normally, if it was going to be full proper wet setup, he probably would be under 200 coming into that braking zone. So it's definitely a tricky scenario, how these skinnier wings that you would have and the lower downforce in these conditions, because it's not going to be sticking the car to the road the way they want. But if they weren't to do that, then the drivers are going to be absolute sitting ducks during the race itself. So very tricky session, and obviously nobody will want to crash out either. This is a good chance for people who maybe don't normally get the best qualification times in the dry. They're maybe quite more suited to the rain. Blizzard, for example, he's just gone back up to the top of the standings there. We've seen him in France have his best race at Paul Ricard, and that was in changeable conditions as well. And I've seen him previously in other wet races in AOR, in Tier 2 last year and indeed in Tier 1 this year, where he seems to be quite okay in the rain in comparison at some tracks. He seems to just relish it a wee bit more. So it's a chance for drivers who do prefer the wet conditions to get up the leaderboard and just cause a bit of disruption at the top end of the standings.
Well, yes, at the moment, if the grid were to be like this, Speedbari goes into the first driver to go into the 129, so 129.691, so they're beginning to put down a little bit of a line on that track. At times it sits already starting 6th and Speedbari in first. That would be an ideal situation for Speedbari as he attempts to take the title fight at least on to Singapore. Realistically, the title will be won by Tiro Snitzel at some stage. It's just a question of when, Andy, and it could be today, but if Speedbari can at least go down fighting and stop him from winning it for at least another race, he would be pretty satisfied with that.
The best thing that obviously the Toro Rosso driver can do is he's got to basically aim to win. I know every driver does that every week anyway, of course they do. You wouldn't be racing if you didn't, but that's all he can do, is just try and make sure he wins pretty much every race moving out. Against the powerhouse that has been Schnitzel this season, that's a very hard thing to do, and it is a very tall order. It would be nice for us, obviously, and for the people who are watching, to have it go on to another week, obviously, just to throw a little bit more excitement in there, for example, moving into future weeks. But it is most likely that we're going to be crowning Schnitzel two-time champion at some point. It's a matter of when, it would seem, and that is no way meant as a slight towards any of the other drivers. Absolutely not. Schnitzel has just been so consistent. It is frightening how consistent that man is.
Yes, I mean, we have to admit that certain drivers who have moved on to PC, they would have made this championship a bit more competitive if they stuck around. So the likes of Jarno Opmar, Luke Blakely, Michael, quite a few drivers of that caliber have left the league. But it has to be said, even without Michael leaving, Schnitzel was already dominating the championship even without Michael leaving. So, you know, Schnitzel has done exactly what he needed to do, and importantly, he has been consistent. He's been fast but extremely consistent from his constant run of top 2 at least. As Casper seems to be struggling a little bit, he's doing multiple laps, because the beauty of a wet to dry sort of session like this is that they can fuel the car ups and have multiple attempts at it, and that makes it a little bit easier to get them. As the fuel burns off, their time should improve, but so far Casper 3.6 seconds off the pace, so it has either been invalidated or has been struggling with the conditions so far. We're going to go for a hot lap with Lamaquina, so we'll keep an eye on where he is. Now at the moment, Nicholas Mateo moving up to P6, Fabian P7, Tactician in P4, and then the top 3 separated by just over 3.5 tenths of a second. So Schnitzel at the moment is nearly 7 tenths of the pace, and actually now drops down to P9 with Jim Roy popping up into P8. So Schnitzel at the moment, well, he's on for a bit of a session where he may have to come back, as he did in Germany, from the back of the grid to win the race. And I'm sure he would be more than capable of doing that, given the great pace he had. But let's see what Lamaquina is doing. Lamaquina is still on an outlap, I believe, or it may be another lap. So we'll go back a week as an invalidation straight away. So we want to feature the Ferrari drive for the hot lap because it is a cause in Monza. But Daniel Alves, 5th lap out there, but he's now probably run out of fuel, so he's going to head back to the grid. Speedbari on an outlap, as is Blizzard. Who else is out there? Desso out there on a lap as Casper. 1:29.527. So there you go. He was struggling at first, but on his 3rd lap on those wets, he is now the main man with 6.5 minutes of this session to go.
Yeah, good lap time there from the young Dutchman. He had a bit of a nightmare during the Esports Pro Draft race. I think he had some connection issues, so he's trying to, make up for that here tonight. Lamaquina is coming towards the end of this current lap, and I'm sure he's going to go on and try another one. So if you're ready to, shall we take a wee lap around the Autodromo?
I am switched to him. Go ahead, my friend.
Excellent. He's struggling his way out of the parabolica there as he comes across the start and finish line. Now DRS would be enabled down here in the dry if they are within a second. You can see coming up to over 210 miles an hour, looking for the braking zone in the wet, about 150 metres, nicely into the first part. Came down to first gear, quickly back up to second, easy on the throttle. Just think there's a soft egg under the throttle, just really gently on there, and then up to the gears again, through to 7, through the Curva Grande. Watch for the water on the inside, it can build up there next to the curb, and looking for the braking point to the second chicane. Nice and easy, use a little bit of the curb on the inside on both parts there, but not too much so you don't get an invalidation. Up towards turn 6, which is the first of the Lesmo corners, nice and easy on the way through. Just got to be very gentle again on the throttle. The trees are overhanging here, so it's very easy to get a puddle, and you can see the sliding through through the second part of the Lesmo there as he gets back on the throttle. DRS again would be enabled down here towards the Ascari chicane in the dry as we go under the old famous banking there. And again, uphill towards the braking zone for Ascari. Down to fourth gear, using a lot of curb on the inside, using quite a bit of curb on that second part as well, sliding gently out of the chicane and back up to full throttle one more time, heading towards the final turn. Just the 11 turns around here. It's the Parabolica looking for the braking again, down to fourth gear, nice and easy on the way in. There can be a few puddles building up on the inside again, and just again bring it to the outside gently on the throttle, just using a bit of the curb on the exit because he was sliding across the line. It does improve. It's a 1 minute 30.5 from the Ferrari driver, moves them up from 14th to 11th. Not too bad a lap time there, but I'm sure in front of the Tifosi we will be hoping for a bit more before the end of the session.
Yes, it's pretty close. It's just over a second between the top 11 at the moment, and I think the times are going to improve ever so slightly. Yellow's in sector 3, but that may be for a slow move car. Speedbar then, heading through the Parabolica. He thought he had the race win last week at Belgium, his second of the season, but no, the stewards reversed it. They felt the 10-second penalty handed out by the game was a bit harsh, but here comes Speedbar heading for the line. What's it going to be? It's going to be pole, 1:29.388. So for the time being, it is advantage Toro Rosso driver. He's doing everything he needs to do to put as much pressure on Tyrrell as possible, who is in the pit lane currently, waiting to go out for the last few minutes. He's not going to get many attempts at it, so that's the risk you take in a wet session like this. But he's going to go minimal fuel and have basically one shot at it, and that's, you know, high risk strategy, but we've seen Snitzel put it off many times. Stay Frosty. He's heading through the middle sector at the moment. Seems to have plenty of fuel in the car. Now, of course, unlike previous games, you have to manage your battery a bit. So sometimes you will have to do a sort of a dead lap on lean fuel, recharge the battery, then go again. Hence why we've seen 4 or 5 laps in previous games. You didn't have to do that, so you could just keep going, powering in lap after lap. So it has certainly changed the very face of not only dry qualifying sessions, but also wet qualifying sessions as well. This extra element of realism to the game. Now, say Frosty heading through the Variante Ascari. Very tricky exit there. You want to really avoid going on the curbs on the last part because you can easily spin up the car and spear off to the left into the wall. We've seen it happen many times in various leagues across the community. Say Frosty then through the final corner, the Parabolica. Such a fantastic corner. Must be a brilliant sight to watch cars heading through that at full speed. And P3 for Save Frosty, so the times are beginning to come down. We'll need to keep an eye on Tyrrell Snitzel because he is out on track. Speedbarry, he's heading through the Parabolica again. This is going to be an improvement. Just, you know, every time that little purple time comes up, Andy, it just adds a little bit more pressure to his tyres arrival when he sees it flash up.
Yeah, definitely so, although he has acted like Moses during that outlap. Came out of the pits, he had about 2 or 3 cars in front of him and they all just got out of the way of him, so he's got a bit of clear track to work with at the moment, and unless Blizzard decides to come flying out of the pit lane at the last minute. But he is on his way, so he should get at least 2 laps in here. He does have a car up ahead, but it's far enough out of the way at the moment that it's not going to bother him too much, and it is one of the racing points, and he had Force India there, so it's Hugh Golf that he's behind. But we'll see how that one works. But Speedman, he's doing everything that he needs to do at the moment. He is up there in pole position. He needs to be up the front as much as possible here. That was a nice lap from Frosty. You got Fabi up there as well in 4th at the moment in the Haas. That's the good lap from him so far. And we have also the other new driver here tonight, which is Dezo, who's taken over the other Racing Point entry for the rest of the season. So that's at least brought them back up to 2 drivers as well. Minute 20 roughly to go now. Who's going to take pole position? That Toro Rosso's looking good at the moment. Can anyone knock him off his perch though?
Yes, and 1:29.388. Not much time to find for lights Casper and Save Frosty. Snitzel though has a lot of time to find. He needs to find almost a second to take pole position, and he really needs. He's 3/10s up on his sector 2. So he's certainly looking like it looks like a smoother lap than what we've seen earlier on in the session. Snitzel knows he'll need to try and get further up towards us, because this is a track where if you get stuck in a DRS train with slower cars ahead, you could lose so much time to the quicker guys beyond them. As Speedbar goes even quicker, 1:29.114. So Snitzel's got to find over 1.2 seconds. He's heading for the line now. What's it going to be? Can Snitzel take the pole position away from Speedbar? It's good enough for P5, but he's got a lap and fuel for one more run, so we'll keep an eye on him. Who else is out there? Nicholas Mateo is heading through the Parabolica now. Let's see what he can do. Oh, run slightly wide. That's not an ideal line, and no, he's that is way up of sync, so that's not going to be it. But Casper, he's on another run, so he has a 1:42, so that's not going to challenge it for the time being. So obviously warming up the sides.
Nicholas ain't going to do any better, sorry. He's got wing damage on that. Sorry, I just seen that there. I don't know what he's done, but he's got wing damage there.
I would imagine he may have lost it at the Ascari. It's one of the more dangerous parts of the track to get damage, especially the exit. As Lamaquina finishes 11th, not much to cheer about for the Tifosi at the moment. LR2 is still out with some medical issues, I think. As Williams Jim Roy finishes in P10. I think Jim Roy might have actually crashed somewhere because he hasn't. I know he's in the pit lane actually, so we'll go back to Blizzard. Blizzard, I think, is slightly head down the road than the likes of Snitzel through the Ascari. Then Casper is behind. So yeah, Snitzel will cross the line first. So I think it's looking at Say Frosty goes into P2. So I think it's going to be Snitzel first, then Blizzard, and then Casper as the main threats for the pole position. So Speed Barry 1:29.114 for the time being. It is what needs to be beaten by Tyrrell Snitzel, who's half a second behind. What can Snitzel do? Heading for the line, who have minimal fuel at this point in time. Is it going to be good enough for pole? No, it's not. Nearly 2 tenths off. So at the moment, it looks like it's going to be Speed Barry in pole position. Can Blizzard do anything about it? It seems like he's a bit down on time at the moment and low on fuel as well. So I don't think this is going to be an improvement for Blizzard as he crosses the line. No, it's not going to be. Casper just behind him. What's he going to do, Casper? And it's going to be P4 for Casper. Is there anyone else out there who can improve? Tactician heading for Parabolica. I think he's going to be the last of the main runners to cross the line here. Can Tactician move from his current P9 position? Heading across the line here at Monza, there's another racing point. That's Deso behind in P14, and no change at all. So it is going to be Speed Barry, the only driver who can now deny Snitzel the title, who will start on pole position with his chief rival alongside him. So Snitzel, if it finishes like that, Snitzel will not be the champion. But we will go through the specific permutations during the format lap shortly. But a pretty interesting session, but the two drivers in the top two, perhaps not a surprise.
No, definitely not. Usual suspects is what they usually say, isn't it? But Speed Barry setting down the gauntlet there, but Schnitzel nearly managed to answer it. It was a good time because remember he was down in about 11th there until he'd done his first lap of those two at the end of the session, getting himself up on the final lap, but not enough to beat his championship rival to the line. So it's another pole position for Barry. Really nice lap there for him. 1:29.1, 1/10th clear of Schnitzel in second. Stay Frosty with a great lap for McLaren in third, with Casper in fourth, Daniel Alves in fifth, and McLaren's third and fifth. Fantastic session for them. Fabian the Haas in sixth, with Blizzard seventh, Nicholas Mateo in eighth, Tactician in ninth, and Jim Roy rounding out the top 10. Then we got Lamaquina in the Ferrari, Hugh Golf in the Racing Point in 12th, Alex 13th, Dezo on his debut in 14th, and Lee Finley down at the back in 15th, struggling with the wet conditions, it would seem. Hopefully he can do a bit better in the dry race, and obviously with it being a dry race, they've not had the chance to test the setup within this session, within this lobby beforehand, so it leaves a little bit of an unknown going into it, and it's certainly going to make for a very exciting race indeed.
Yes, I completely agree with that. Slightly overcast conditions, it looks like, on the track, as we see some action from earlier on in the day with the car that won the 2010 Italian Grand Prix by Fernando Alonso being demonstrated to the crowd, a nice sight of the V8 era. But yeah, 15 drivers out there for the race today, and it's going to be one of the most intense races of the season. It's so difficult to break out of that DRS train, and strategy will play a key role in trying to get some of the drivers who are similarly paced apart from one another. Now, in terms of the strategy, it's going to be a one-stop, as is the case at most tracks, but in terms of the tyre use, it's going to be quite a mix of what people want to start with, because usually you have a dry session and a dry race, and then people start with. It's a free choice for everybody, which is not a situation we normally get in these particular league circuits. So in terms of the strategy, what do you think would be the better tyre to go with? We believe that a combination of soft and medium is going to be the best to go for, because the hards don't really work very well in terms of tyre temperature.
Yeah, pretty much. The hard compound tyres are They're an absolute nightmare to get up to temperature and get any sort of working range in them, so don't expect to be seeing them unless someone loses a front wing in the first lap and tries to stretch out a one-stopper. Obviously, you've got the soft compound tyre. The medium's about 0.8 of a second slower, the hard 1.3. We can see most people are on the mediums, with only Speed Barry and Nicholas Matteo going for the soft compound, so expect them to pit somewhere around about maybe lap 9 to lap 11, somewhere in that region, with the rest of the runners pitting somewhere around about lap 15 to lap 17. That's what to expect out of the strategy. It should be an easy one-stopper through this race.
Right, and now, as you will see on your screen, Andy, a quick word on the title permutations before this AOR Italian Grand Prix. This is what Tyrrell Snitzel has to do to win the title, and this is what Speed Barry has to do to deny him today.
Absolutely. So the simple maths is, without going through everything, is that Schnitzel needs to have 12 points more at the end of this race than what Speed Barry did. That's the simple maths of it. Since he's been first and second so far every race, I'm just going to concentrate on the top two. So as you can see, if Schnitzel is first or first and fastest lap, Speed Barry needs to be at least on the podium in third, no worse than that. If he's fourth or lower, it is championship over. Same for second, Speed Barry would need to be 6 or higher to take the championship into next week into Singapore. Of course, it is a long shot mathematically, but it would keep it mathematically alive. There is also the other permutations there. If Schnitzel's anything lower than fourth, then it goes to next week, pretty much no matter what happens. But says that considering he's on a 19 race podium streak and he's not been off the top two this season, that's probably a likely scenario as one of those two. So Speed Barry, he really needs to be on the podium. He's put himself in the right position though, pole position, can't do anything better, and he's obviously going to try and be the hare here in this hare and tortoise race, you could say. He's going with the soft compound tyres, he's going to try and sprint away from the field as quick as he can.
Yes, very interesting combination of different tyres, as we just briefly see, but most on the mediums. So only 2 drivers opting to start on the soft, so Speed Barry will have the better tyre at the end of the race. So this is going to be a very interesting start to the race here. 15 drivers, and we are ready to go for the Italian Grand Prix. Green flags are up, the Tifosi rises, and they'll be hoping for a miracle for Lamborghini to win this race. But here come the 5 red lights on your screens, ladies and gentlemen. Forza Italia. And off we go once again. And it's a good start from Speed Barry, as he expects, on the better traction of those soft tyres. Tyrrell Snitzel got a solid start himself. He is under slight threat from behind, but now he's getting through the gears, maybe trying to go for a move. No, he plays it safe. Very sensible stuff from Tyrrell Snitzel. And so Speed Barry maintains lead at the moment. Look at that, he's under threat right behind from the likes of Save Frosty and Casper. So watch out, Snitzel. Snitzel is definitely under big threat here. Save Frosty may be able to take him down the inside into the Variante Roggio, the second chicane here, but no, Snitzel in the end manages to defend it very nicely on the brakes. But Daniel Alves has overtaken Casper in that little exchange, so it's now McLaren 3-4, Casper down to 5th, Nicholas Matteo in 6th for the time being. So it is Speed Barry in the lead ahead of Tyrrell Snitzel. So Speed Barry, it's a crucial time for him. He's got to try and break away from Tyrrell Snitzel to take advantage of the better rubber for the time being. In terms of the winners and losers so far, lots of places gained down here. 9 places lost for Fabi. What on earth happened to him? He must have had some contact early on in the race.
Yeah, I didn't get a great angle on it, but he ended up in the gravel at the exit of turn 2. Jim Roy lost a number of places in it as well, so I don't know if there's been some contact between the two of them, but the Haas is missing front wing, so expect him to be in the pit lane, possibly try those hard tyres just to get to the end of the race, but didn't have a great angle to see exactly what caused it, unfortunately.
Yeah, well, the Ferrari fans delighted. Lamborghini is up to P8 and P11, a storming start from one of the recent AOR debutants. And we'll just quickly have a look at him, because he's now making a move on Tactician. 3 wide, Hugh Golf and Tactician briefly for a moment. Can Lamborghini go up to P7? He's got the inside line for the second part of the Rettifilia, and he is up to P7. What an unbelievable start from Lamborghini. 4 places gained in just over a lap, as Fabi, I would say, is out of the race. So retirement already without get any sort of action from race control for a safety car. Hugo dives down the inside of Tactician as well. Oh, and I think there was slight wheel bumping there, and Lamborghini went off track. No, actually, it's Daniel Alves who's gone wide out of the Roggio into the gravel trap, and now he drops down to P9. So it's all happening. Tyrrell Snitzel's now dropped out of a second of speed bar race, so those tyres really good effect. The mediums do take a couple of laps to get up to temperature compared to the softs, which don't take any time at all. So Stay Frosty may have half an opportunity here to launch an attack on Thrustmaster, which will only help the cause of speed barring. But a long way to go here. 27 laps of the Oldtimer National Monza in total. But yeah, quite frenetic action so far here, Andy.
Yeah, plenty going on. Fabio will be okay. He'd made it back to pit lane before he retired in the menu. He'd got a fight. I've seen it pop up, a 5-second penalty, so he'll be okay with that one. It's obviously decided he doesn't fancy running around on his own for a while, but I would carry on if it was me. DRS now enabled. 3 drivers making up 5 places from the start with Lamar Queen, Hugolf and Lee Finley as well, as I'm currently just watching as Daniel Alves is going to put one on the inside, a tactician into turn 1, and he's made that move stick as well. So a nice move there from him as he starts his recovery, having run wide through the second chicane at the Rodriguez chicane last lap by losing the number of positions. So he's starting to make his comeback through the field. Plenty going on, but it looks like everyone else's front wings are intact. And now we've still got 14 of the 15 drivers that's still running. Now keep an eye out for penalties later on in the race, because obviously the quickest way around here is to try and abuse the curbs as much as you possibly can. And certainly in the second chicane it is very easy to take too much curb and pick up a penalty. Same goes for the Ascari chicane as well, so penalties will still come into this. But Speed Barry pulling away out front, 1.8 seconds clear to be expected considering he's on the soft compound tyre. Schnitzel in second, he's out of DRS range, and you've already got the train in the midfield pretty much as well. So down from what we got, Hugolf all the way down to Jim Roy almost. We've got a train in the cars basically all nose to tail.
Yeah, Nick Matteo, the only other driver on the softs, has taken full advantage of that, gaining free place from the start, and now he's all over the back of the Alfa Romeo of Casper. Casper may not have much to defend here. DRS activated on lap 3 as we begin lap 4, and Nick Matteo is going to move up to P4, and we're going to immediately switch to Daniel Alves because he's launching an attack on Hugolf. So 1 Alfa Romeo and 1 Racing Point being demoted on the main straight. Lee Finley had to take a slightly defensive line because the Blizzard was defending him just behind. You can see in the background. So there's a mini train sort of developing. It's a tactician train, we're going to call it for the time being. 5 cars in it with Lee Finley, Blizzard, Desso and Williams Jim Roy. Alex also on the back of that queue as well. So it's going to be a few more laps before the softs start to go. And Tyrrell Snitzel is in trouble. What's happened to Tyrrell Snitzel? He's run wide, I think, at the second chicane, and he has dropped down to P5 lane, gentlemen. So at the moment, if he finishes outside the top
Blizzard's
4,
off as well.
regardless of what happens, he will not be able to win the championship today. So Snitzel, a rare mistake. We didn't see it because of all the midfield action going on. But Tyrrell Snitzel is now going to have to get the hammer down and try and regain some positions. He's now behind Nicholas Matteo and Casper. And Stay Frosty as well, so that now gives, it's a big gap now between Speedbar and Stay Frosty. So I wonder if Stay Frosty and Snitzel came together, because they were not far behind Speedbar, but suddenly it's a 4.3 second gap. I don't know if you saw anything for that, Andy.
I didn't. I was jumping back to it just and missed it at the last point, unfortunately. So I'm unsure if there was any contact. Considering the gaps that were there beforehand and after, it was a good shout. There's no damage to the McLaren. I don't see any damage to the Mercedes as he's going past Casper quite easily down the front straight with DRS enabled and back up to 4th already. But yeah, something's going on, possibly contact between the two of them or running wide, but a rare mistake from the championship leader. Puts him down to 4th position at the moment. He's going to have to make his way back through. At the same time, behind them, Blizzard ended up in the gravel as well, on the side of the track and facing the wrong direction. He's now into pit lane, going on to a set of soft compound tyres. So that's a strange one. Didn't look like it changed his wing either, so he's just decided to change tyres. That's a different one there for him. But he ended up backwards as well.
Looks like he's gone for a two-stop, which isn't the optimum strategy here, but he will be, I'm sure, once he gets up to speed, he'll be setting the early, at least, fastest laps. But that will be smashed later on when some of these medium runners come in for the softs later on to complete their one and only stop. But I tell you what, the temperatures of this track are really favouring the soft runners at the moment, because Speed Barry and Nicholas Matteo seem to be the 2 fastest drivers on the track. Nicholas Matteo is actually threatening now for P2. I mean, this would be by far his best result if he finished here. He hasn't been on the podium this season. But as you say, Stay Frosty looks like he does have some damage to that wing, so I think he's going to be pretty caught quickly, not by just Matteo, but also likes of Snitzel and Casper. It'll be interesting if Snitzel does finish the podium. It'll be interesting to get a word what happened with, and it's going to be an easy as you like overtake. So the top two now are on the soft tyres, so that's really working beautifully. So they've made the right choice in terms of the fight for the podium position. But of course, later on they will be suffering a little bit of pain, a longer stint on the mediums with the soft runners coming back at them. But at the moment, they're sitting very pretty, especially Speed Barry, a 5.6 second gap now. His first stint could not have gone any better so far.
No, definitely not, and it does seem to be with the overcast conditions, as you say, the softs are working very nicely indeed. Another bit, obviously, I don't think we picked up on in qualifying is despite having a great week with the pro draft, Schnitzel has actually hurt his left foot, his braking foot, so he is going to be struggling with that a little bit as well. And caught it on Twitter, I think he may have fell down some stairs or something, I'm not too sure, maybe we can ask him later on, but he does have a sore left foot, which is not going to help around here where you need some heavy braking into the chicanes, but he's still going around at the moment. And fourth, he's catching back up to Stay Frosty, who has just been passed, as we've seen, by Nicholas Mateo, whose best result was fourth position earlier on this season, which was where was that again? That was in Britain at Silverstone, in that mixed conditions race. So he's having a very good race at the moment, and hopefully he can get to the end as Jim Roy's going up the inside of Dezo at the Parabolica, squeezing his way into the inside there on the racing point, and he's got the move done well before he even picks up DRS, so that's him through and up into 11th. He's now chasing after Tactician to get back into the points, having got caught out on lap 1 with the incident that took Fabi out of the race eventually.
Yeah, well, Jim Roy's had a pretty good run of it recently. Second at Hungary and third at Belgium, but he's got a bit of work to do to get onto the podium today. A good move on Deso in the parabolic, as we would describe Andy just now. We're going to go straight back to the top 4 though, because Snitzel now beginning to put Stay Frosty back under pressure. Hugo picks up a time penalty, and just behind him, just seeing Lamaquina and Alves fighting for position. Daniel Alves dives down the inside at the first of the Lesmo, so that's a pretty decent move, and Hugo is right with them. So we could get a potential free wide into the Ascari, which doesn't happen too often, but no, not a great exit from Lamaquina, so Hugo is definitely going to put him under pressure. It was a brilliant start from Lamaquina, but now he's beginning to drop back down the order a little bit. He'll have the inside line for the Ascari. Oh, there could be contact. He's cut the corner blatantly there, and race control didn't take too kindly to that, so he's got a 3-second time penalty. And he spins round. I don't know if there was contact with Hugo, but Lamaquina into the wall out. I think that was down to him, actually. I think he just, when I mentioned it earlier, you don't want to go on those curbs on the exit of Ascari because you can really unbalance your car, and that's what we have because the low downforce, very unforgiving if you get a snap of oversteer like that, and that's, well, that will be realistically his race done for points unless we get some retirements. But look at this, Save Frosty now coming back at Nicholas Mateo. So I think this is a sign that the softs, we've seen the best of them, but they're going to have to stretch them out just a little bit longer before they switch to the mediums.
Yeah, definitely so. And just watching back on the live stream, was just he got on the throttle too quickly. Lamaquina coming out of the Ascari chicane, let the tyres up, drifted through the final part. Round goes the car. There was no contact between him and Hugh Golf in terms of what we could see there. So just pushing too hard there and into the wall. And unfortunately, that puts him down at the back of the field pretty much now as well. Yellow flag in sector 2 disappeared very quickly though. But yeah, Stay Frosty and Nicholas Mateo getting close together, but Frosty still not able to get back past, and he's got Schnitzel right behind him as well. So Schnitzel's not even using the DRS up towards Ascari. He's been tactful here. He's thinking he's got a better chance down to turn 1, so he didn't want the overspeed coming up towards Ascari, so he could get on the brakes well and get a good run. So he had DRS available and didn't use it there. So very interesting strategy there, but he's getting a double toe down to Parabolica, and again he's just going to take it easy on the way through. He's going to try and pick up the throttle here and get a good run. Remember though, Frosty's going to have the DRS from Nicholas Mateo, so we could see a couple of changes of position here in the final podium positions. There goes Schnitzel already. He's got a great run off of Parabolica. He's going to box that McLaren in behind the Haas, so he's got nowhere to go, and Schnitzel, very nice move indeed, back up into P3, used the Haas very nicely there too, boxed in the Stay Frosty. Frosty had nowhere to go, he had to back out of it, and that is P3 for your championship leader, and he goes after the Haas, whose tyres will start to be going off the cliff now, lap 9 to 11, so when we expect any soft runners into the pits, so expect the Haas team and the Toro Rosso team for Speed Barry to be out in pit lane before very long.
Yes, and Nicholas Mateo just struggling for rear traction. You can just see coming out from the second chicane, he was really not getting the purchase down on the track that he would like, and that is why he's really fallen back into the clutches. DRS has not even got DRS activated, but he's still catching up, and he's done a decent job the last couple of laps of restoring his battery. Now it nearly has, well, it has over 60% now, so I think he's definitely building up for an attack. And I think Nick may not just have Snitz to worry about. I think Stay Frosty will be right past him very shortly. It looks like Blizzard may be about to be lapped by Speedbar, such as the time that Blizzard lost early on. And here comes Snitzer. He's not going to wait. Snitzel's going to dive down the inside out the Parabolica. Can be a dangerous move if you get squeezed, because usually the car on the inside comes off better. Does not come off best. And yeah, Nicholas Pateo into the pit lane. Can Nicholas Pateo, I should say, Stay Frosty, can he make a move on Snitzel? He got a nice toe, but they both got DRS off that. So actually, Snitzel didn't have it, to be honest. So it's tight for the time being. See what else going on. Lee Finley then trying to get a move. Here we go. Action ahead, nearly 3 wide into the Retafilio. Roy down the inside of Tactician, and he's got a nice move done. Up to P7 he goes, and what Lee Finley will do is use the toe of the Red Bull to aid him in his quest to get past Tactician to move up to P8. But look at that, it's great straight line speed from Tactician. He's actually out dragging the Toro Rosso as they head down, and he's actually going to go late on the brakes. Lee Finley goes around the outside into the Roggio. Great move from Lee Finley. Back up to PA he goes. So Tactician was giving it all his worth to fight them off, but in the end he's lost 2 places in the space of a few corners.
Yeah, some brilliant driving from all 3 drivers there. Nice move from Jim Roy to get past on Tactician and Lee Finley going side by side all the way through the Curva Grande up towards the second chicane, the Roggio chicane, and just late braking from the Scotsman gets him up in 8th position. But some good moves there from both, and some good driving, including from Tactician as well. Gave the space, but he was still fighting it as much as he could, but he did lose 2 positions there. Unfortunately, he's trying to fight back now, coming down towards the Parabolica. He needs to be careful though, because Dezo in the racing point is right behind him as well. So again, as we said on the build-up, the DRS train coming into effect here, and it'll be interesting to see if anything happens. La McQueen has retired from the session in Sector 2, so not sure what's happened there to him, unfortunately, but that's the Ferrari driver out of the race. And Lee Finley going up around the outside, he's trying to do on Jim Roy there, but not able to do it. Now can Tactician get the traction out of the chicane through the Curva Grande, but you can see the Toro Rosso's got that car right in the middle of the road, and he's not going to allow him any space, but he's in the slipstream. He's gave him an opening on the inside, but Lee's already braked very late into their last lap by, so the Tactician would have to brake even later, and he's not able to do so, and Lee goes and holds on to the position from now. Nearly got P7 off the Red Bull though.
Yeah, Casper's now close onto the back of Save Frosty in the battle for P3, and I get the sense the battle for podium is going to be going nip and tuck all the way to the end of this race. We believe there's not going to be any rain during the course of the race, so it's going to be dries all the way. Most of the field have not pitted yet. In terms of those who have pitted, we've had only a handful of pit stops so far.
Leader in the pits.
Speedbar into the pits, so it's going to be for the mediums, more than likely. We'll go straight back on track though, because is he close enough? No, not for the time being, so we'll just see Speedbar's pit stop. It's going to be for the mediums, surely. Yes, it will be. Where's he going to pull out? There's a big gag on midfield cars, and he'll be hoping that these guys don't stay out too much longer, because if he gets caught behind this huge train of medium runners, he's going to be in a bit of trouble. But he's got a bit of gap at the moment to the back of Alex, so he's got clean air for the time being. But these guys are going to be going quite a bit further in the race. So Speedbari, well, his chances of winning this race will be defined, I think, by clearing this traffic in the next 5 or 6 laps or so, because it's going to be a bit of time still until these guys come in for the softs to end their race. But at the moment it's a 3.9 second gap, so it's going to be a few laps at least before he gets onto the back of Alex. So meanwhile, back at the front, Schnitzel has now sort of won the battle for the time being against Steve Frosty, 1.5 seconds ahead. Casper trying to chase down for P2, and Daniel Alves, he got dropped fairly quickly by the top 5, the top 4 I should say, early on in the race. Nicholas Mateo, he's 8 seconds behind Speedbar, so that's actually a little bit of an undercut, because he was almost 9 seconds behind when he pitted. So now, so he may be well getting a decent undercut, but he's going to have to go much longer than Speedbar in terms of the medium, so he could be in a bit of trouble later on, especially with the other drivers pitting for the softs later in the race. So looks like the main battle track is going to be the battle for P6 for the time being. Jim Roy, Lee Finney, Tactician, Deso and Alex. It's going to be so interesting Andy, when Speed Barry catches to these guys, because he has absolutely demolished the gap to Alex already. 2.5 seconds. It was almost 4 when he came out of the pit lane. So he's gained 1.5 seconds on his outlap alone.
Yeah, he's absolutely flying along. He's eating into that gap very quickly because these guys are obviously battling each other. So some of them are taking a bit of the defensive line. They're not being as quick. So Barry is really catching up to them. And if he cannot clear them quickly, or they don't come into the pits very soon, that could actually ruin any chance he has. He's still keeping the lead of this race, because look at that. In about a lap from coming out of pit lane, it was 3.9 seconds. It's now 1.9 going to the end of sector 1. So a lap and a sector, he's taken nearly 2 seconds out of them. That Toro Rosso is flying, but now he's got 5 cars ahead of him that are all fighting for position. They're all fighting each other in their own battle. They don't care that Barry's coming through and he's been in the lead of the race. He's now in 11th. They're going to be fighting it just as much, and that could really, really hold them up. This might be Schnitzel's silver bullet, so to speak, here today, is the traffic and the DRS train.
Yellows in sector 3. Oh, someone's gone off. Who's that? Is that Blizzard? I think, yeah, Blizzard's gone off at Blizzard. The Parabolica. So yeah, that's the end of his... effectively the end of his race. He's now been lapped by the whole field, so it's been an absolute disaster for Renault as they attempted to get up in terms of the Constructors' Championship. Lee Finley looking like he may make a move for P6. Speed Barry in the background is now nearly in DRS range of Alex, and he'll be looking at this gaggle of cars here. He won't be pitting at the very least until, I would say, lap 17, maybe 16 at a push, because obviously with less fuel at the end of the race, tyre wear not quite as severe on them, but I think lap 17 will be when some of the soft runners will be coming in. Here comes Tactician thinking about a move. He's been trying to do that, but here we go then. Speed Barry, well, it is a daunting sight. This gaggle of cars, Alex is still gamely holding to the back of this queue, so I think the likes of Alex and Desso will be, for Speed Barry, given the pace he's got, may not be the biggest challenge, but however the cars beyond that, Tactician, Lee Finney and Jim Roy, all quick drivers themselves. Speed Barry then, he's got 5 drivers to pass to make this strategy work. If he doesn't, it's going to come back to Schnitzel and Stay Fronted when they pit for the softs later on, because that gap he had built on the softs, that could easily disappear. Straight past Alex he goes, up to P10. Now Desso next up, four cars ahead of him. So good start to this particular second stint for Speed Barry. He destroyed that gap to this group. Now he's got to start making overtakes. And now through the Parabolica, lap 15 of this AOR F1 Italian Grand Prix. And he's got to get past Desso, the P9. That is the next target. Look how much speed he's got. How much battery is he going to be using to get past all these cars? But look at that. The DRS is open on the racing point as well. He goes to defend it. Speed Barry is going to try and go late on the brakes with the fresh rubber. And yes, much more confidence on the brakes. And straight past Desso. This has been, makes contact with the Alfa Romeo slightly. But I don't think that would have been enough for damage. But that could have nearly ended in total disaster. That has... It's definitely unsettled Tactician, who was chasing Lee Finley and Jim Roy ahead, and they're going to go side by side into the Variante Roggio. But you know, Speed Barry, he's going to lose time. Lock up from Tactician, now gets a nice exit out of the chicane. He's going to go for a move down the inside at the first Lesmo, and I think he's going to get the move done. Yes, he does. Up to P8 he goes. This is an overtaking masterclass from Speed Barry. Now he's got Lee Finley and Jim Roy up ahead of him. We're just going to switch gears and head to Casper, who's now right on the back of Say Frotty. I think he's managed his tyres just a little bit better than the McLaren driver, Andy, but what a show from Speed Barry there over the last lap or so.
Yeah, Deso done the wrong thing going defensive, because he took himself out of the slipstream he had off the Tactician, made it too easy for Barry. Nearly damage, obviously bumping into the back of Tactician. Looks like certainly nothing visible on the screens. It looks like he's got away with it. I don't think he's going to find too much problems with Lee Findley's teammate. Lee will know that Barry's quick and in a different race for him, as Roy goes to pit, so Roy's out the way, so Lee's going to be no issue here. So that has worked an absolute treat for Barry, actually. Roy's got out of the way. Lee's not going to fight this too much, because he knows his teammate's in a dip, and maybe he is going to fight it, actually. He still went late on the brakes, but no, Barry has got through there, so he's up to 4th position. So the gap to Schnitzel in the lead from Barry is 13.7 seconds, so that should be enough there for him to get back in the lead of the race. It's fell quite nicely. He had to get aggressive there, but he's made it work, and he's got through them very nicely indeed.
Yeah, more pit stops out there. Sugolf, Jim Roy and Alex all in the pits on the fresh softs, looking to get the undercut, which is quite significant at this particular track. Blizzard pitting, I think, and he is called air day, so that's your 3rd retirement of the race. 12 still running. Casper trying to get ahead of Stay Frosty. So at the moment, it looks like Speedbar is going to take the net lead in this race. Schnitzel will be coming out in P2, and Stay Frosty and Casper will be fighting for the final podium spot by the looks of it. But can Schnitzel, how much pace does he have in terms of those softs? As Tactician's actually got a move done for P5, and straight ahead of them, side by side for the Parabolica go Casper and Stay Frosty. Are they going to go into the pits right now, or are they going to carry on? Yes, straight into the pits they go. So Schnitzel will pit, and it's going to be for the softs. It's going to be interesting how much pace he's got. Can he get out before these two cars arrive? He's going to get held. Oh, that was close. That would have been an unsafe release in real life. And a 5-second penalty for Tactician for speeding the pit lane. Speedbar will take the lead of the race then, with Lee Finley carrying on for some reason. I'm not sure why he continued, because he's going to get undercut massively. So Tyrrell Schnitzel is in a net P2, and the chase will be on soon. But Nicholas Matteo has actually got ahead of some of these guys. But Stay Frosty, I think, and Casper, they're going to be catching Nicholas Matteo very quickly. So actually, Nicholas Matteo hasn't been able to make the mediums work.
Nice. Sorry, Daniel Alves, Casper just coming out of pit lane. Daniel Alves just sneaking round the outside into the first chicane. Very nice move there from the McLaren driver, and that's regained him the position on Casper that he lost earlier, having ran wide. I've had a thought as to maybe why Lee's staying out there. Is he maybe helping his teammate, playing a bit of a rear gunner against Schnitzel maybe?
Possibly, but to be honest, the gap between Schnitzel and Lee Finley, by the time that Schnitzel catches him, probably in two laps, maybe 3 laps time, given the pace advantage that he'll have on the fresh softs, Lee Finley will have no tyres left, so there will be no contest anyway, so I don't really see much use in that, if indeed that was even discussed with Speedbar. But now the chase is on. It's about probably 8.5, let's see the gap in terms of leader, it's 9.5 seconds between Speedbar and Schnitzel, 11 laps to go including this one. So Casper now, his main job is to try and get past the two McLarens, but now Nicholas Matteo is in the net P3 position at the moment, but he didn't really make it work, unlike Speedbar, because now he's got 3 much quicker cars in terms of fresh rubber coming after him. So Nicholas Matteo's battle to get onto the podium may be for nothing, because he's not going to have the tyres to defend it, you would think, but we're going to get quite a battle for P3 at the very least, and maybe Tyrrell Schnitzel can catch Speedbar for the race, which he could come down to penalties later on. But either way, don't go away, we're going to see a lot of action in the closing laps here.
Yeah, definitely so, and yeah, it's not worked for Lee. He's came into the pits, he's now last. Everybody has passed him, so all the gaps, all the time he made up, all the places he made up earlier doors, just staying out that extra lap has absolutely killed him basically, because he's just been passed by the whole field. Desmond's just passed Alex nicely into the first chicane as well at the Variante Alta, so I always say that wrong. So it was a nice move there from the debutant, and Tactician's now behind Alex, because he was obviously, he double stacked slightly with Casper, as Stay Frosty's just got by Nicholas Matteo before the Ascari chicane. And even though Casper was well gone, the game still obviously holds you a little bit sometimes before they perform the work in the car. So it's not worked for Tactician at all. It's lost him ground too. Him and Lee Finley are the biggest losers in that pit stop battle. Blizzard obviously retired. It's been a horrible race for him. Lama Quina, we didn't know quite what happened after he had his accident early doors. Just called it a day. And Fabi on lap 1 called it a day after getting caught out on the first lap. 8.5 seconds between Speedbar and Schnitzel. Game on.
Yes, well, can Schnitzel destroy that gap and put Speedbar under some kind of pressure? I think Speedbar doesn't have any penalties. Schnitzel, I think, does have one when he had that contact earlier on the race, but we'll confirm there. Vandy shortly is going to just have a quick check of that. But it's Casper moving up to P5, and he'll give chase to Nicholas Matteo. So the battle for P3 certainly not over yet. It's an important lap for Stay Frosty. He's really got to try and get away from Nicholas Matteo and hope that the Haas holds up Casper for just a little bit. We're running wide out of the second chicane. That's not going to help his course, and Casper straight past him, straight past the Haas like he wasn't even there. I mean, that was certainly, I mean, he may as well have been ghosted, because Nicholas Matteo had literally no chance of defending that. And now he's going to drop another position. And, well, Nicholas Matteo had such a brilliant start in terms of being on the sauce, but pitting early as he did, that's really not played into his hands at all. And given the pace of the likes of Hugo, Williams, Jim Roy, and Desso, and Tactician on those fresh softs, he could be falling all the way down to 10th potentially. So you have to hope that some of these guys burn out their soft tyres early. Otherwise, well, what looked like a really chance of a podium is disappearing into the distance. So next he's going to try and keep in the DRS range of Daniel Alves, but it's going to be probably a forlorn effort So the battle between Save Frosty and Casper continues as Casper sets a fast lap once again at 1:20.857, and interestingly Casper with a quicker pace on the softs than Schnitzel, who, given the foot injury that Andy described, may well be struggling a little bit, but he has capped the gap to 7.7 to Speed Barry, so still time for Schnitzel to catch up, but it's looking less and less likely as we enter the closing stages of the Italian Grand Prix here. But we'll look further down the order because Alex is in the fight for the final points with Deso and Tactician, so this is a fun little scrap for the time being. And Daniel Alves is still keeping in touch with the Alfa Romeo of Casper, so plenty of battles to go on lap 20 of this AOR F1 Italian Grand Prix.
Yeah, definitely. So in terms of the penalty situation, there is a few penalties through the field, but the important ones are top two. No penalties for either of them. Speed Barry, when I had a look there, didn't even have a single warning, although Schnitzel was on the cusp of a third one, if I do remember correctly. So they're fighting it out as it is on track. So unless you see something at the bottom of the screen, just like what we see at the moment with Hugoff picking up his second penalty off the race there down in 7th, it's not going to help him at the end of this race, that's for sure. The top two are fighting it out as is. There is no penalties in the way. It is a straight fight to the finish at the moment. Schnitzel does have it down to 7.1. He's slowly eking into it, but is it going to be too little too late by the end as Daniel Alves gets the DRS move done on Casper well before the braking zone of turn 1 and 2. That was an easy move. Could have put his feet up before he even hit the brakes for that one. It was so easily and so well done because of the DRS being that powerful, and he is back into first position. But these two aren't finished fighting yet. I don't think any one of the two McLarens and Casper could take the final step in the podium, but the two championship protagonists, first and second. Barry's doing what he needs to do, Speed Barry. He's out in front from pole position. He needs to finish ahead of Schnitzel to take it to next week at least, and at the moment he's on hand to do that at the moment in time.
Yes, and you would have to say that Speed Barry, given that he won at Belgium on penalties, then the stewards decided to give the win back to Schnitzel. Probably more than most motivated to get the win here today, not only to deny Schnitzel from winning the title as early as round 14, but to get that second win of the season, which he may feel to a slight degree he could have got if it wasn't for the stewards, correctly or not, depending on your opinion, but the stewards' decision must always be respected. A nice helicopter shot of Casper chasing down Daniel Alves. Now, I think Daniel Alves and Casper battling like this is going to really help save Frosty. So McLaren at the moment, P3 and P4, if they were to stay there, that would put McLaren back into the top 5 of the constructors' standings. So that would really underline, particularly in Save Frosty's case, he's had a really up and down season in terms of results, but he's had a race win at Silverstone, and this would be his second podium of the season, the P3. So that would put him on the verge of no, that would in fact make him the 4th driver this season to reach 100 points in the standings. So that would be a very good thing for him indeed. The 5th, I should say, including Michael, who has gone to PC, of course, but Casper not able to get back ahead of him for the time being. So 6.5 second gap now between Schnitzel and Speed Barry. And you know that Schnitzel, he loves winning, he loves the champagne. He's tasted it 10 times this season already in terms of the victory. 6.5 seconds. Lap 22, he's going to have to be cutting that gap down a little bit more. Oh, well, that may make it redundant now, because a 3-second time penalty for Schnitzel, a rare mistake from the reigning champion, and that, if Speed Barry is listening to this commentary, he'll have a big smile on his face as the team tells him, because that may well have made any doubt in terms of Schnitzel catching and winning the race a foregone conclusion.
Yeah, it's pretty much game over now, I would say, unless there's a major mistake by the Toro Rosso driver up front that puts the penalties back even, or he makes a mistake and goes off the road. And obviously we're never going to wish that on any of the drivers, of course not. But that penalty there, rare mistake from Schnitzel. Second one in this race as well. Don't know obviously if the issue Stay Frosty earlier was a contact or not, but yeah, that's pretty much it there as Deso goes back past Tactician after the Finn driver managed to get by the lap previous. Deso finally makes that move back through, and that DRS might just mean that these two pass back each other a few times before the end of the race. Alex sitting there nice and happy, he's just watching along thinking, I could pick up some points if you two trip over each other. I'd like that very, very much. And so he's just waiting there like a shark to pounce on those two if they make a mistake. Lee Finley's fell off the back of these two, so he seems to be struggling along now, despite being on the freshest tyres in the field. And Schnitzel's got the gap down to 5.5. He's using the battery up as much as he can, so he's not giving up, but it's a very tall order now. Maybe he's just hoping if he pressures enough, maybe Speed Barry might make a mistake and put himself back on even terms when it comes to the penalties. Hugolf has made his way up to 6th position, just passing on Nicholas Matteo into Ascari. Good race from the French driver. He's struggled after the last few races for a little bit, so this is bringing him back into a bit of form, and that's nice to see for him as well. I've had some really nice chats with Hugolf, actually, really lovely guys, so it's great to see him doing good. Casper about to repass Daniel Alves down towards turn number 1. DRS again, making it pretty easy move there for the young Dutchman. He's back up into 4th. Nicholas Mateos repassed Hugolf, doing the exact same thing as he just you seen Casper do. So DRS really working. Hugolf gives him a little punt there on the way out of turn 2. He's held on to the position for now, Nicholas Mateo, but those tyres, 14 laps in the mediums, they will be screaming in agony.
Yeah, he's done 14 laps on his mediums now. He's done well to keep it in the top 10. He's going to be losing more and more time, but Nicholas Mateo hasn't had too many penalties. Oh, and a really squirmy out of the exit, went a bit too wide, and now he's got this Jim Roy. This has really done well for Jim Roy. Jim Roy looking to gain some points. It's been a fairly, not a quiet race in terms of the battling he's done, but in terms of he's usually, at least in recent races, he's been really fighting opponents, so it's not exactly the kind of race that Jim Roy wants to be in, but he's going to have to fight in front of him. Hugolf, would he go for a move at variant to Ascari? No, thinks better of it. But look how slowly that Haas is going through. Those tyres are shot. We could get a free wide into the Parabolica. Jim Roy right on the back of the racing point. Yeah, we're going to go free wide, ladies and gentlemen, into the Parabolica. I think Hugolf's got slightly more speed than the Red Bull. But oh, contact between the Haas and the racing point, and that's going to favour Jim Roy, who's overtaken both of them. And Nicholas Mateo off the track. Hugolf, yeah, just slight accident there, and Nicholas Mateo did very well not to crash into the wall completely. I don't think he had any damage. I think he just about avoided the wall, but that's the end of his race effectively. So Jim Roy up to P6, but that was an unfortunate incident there. That's something certainly that Stewards may look at afterwards. But Daniel Alves now trying to fight back against Casper. Mateo has left the session. I think he had enough after that. I don't think he'll be a happy boy when he talks in the paddock afterwards to the interviewers. But Daniel Alves then, this is the main battle on track at the moment now in terms of the top 5 positions. Tyrrell Schnitzel, there's only 2.5 laps to go, and I don't think with the penalty, let alone getting the gap down to Speed Barry, that he's going to win this race today. So the tyres of battle looks as though, as it stands, it's going to go to Singapore, and that, well, I guess, given the pace Speed Barry sits, it was always realistically, in terms for most observers, that could have been the case, that the title would not be decided today, but may well be at Singapore in a week's time. But Daniel Alves then, through the Parabolica he goes, trying to get past Casper. They've had a great battle this race, these two, fighting multiple times. Casper's probably sick of the sight of the rear of these McLarens because he's been fighting Frosty and Alves the entire race. His tactician looks like he overtakes Desso again. They've had a nice scrap. Desso looking to score his first points of the season in his second race, and down the inside, and Casper broke really well, but he's really compromised his exit out of the first chicane, so Daniel Alves may still come back at him. I just want to, Hugolf not able to make a move, so we won't switch to him. Here comes Daniel Alves, has good straight line speed, puts it back down to 0. I think he's going to try and charge up and go for it again, maybe into the Ascari. A penalty now would certainly decide this fight. And the dirty air that Alfa Romeo unbalancing the McLaren momentarily, so that was not ideal for Daniel Alves. So at the moment, your top 10 as the second half of the penultimate lap. Speed Barry, Schnitzel, Frosty, Casper, Daniel Alves, Jim Roy, Hugolf, tactician Desso, and Alex. And we have had 3 retirements with 12 cars remaining. Here comes Alves again, looking for a move on the inside of Casper, but Casper, there's more grip on the actual line of the Ascari corner, so wasn't really able to get the move done. But there's going to be one more opportunity. We get a fantastic helicopter shot through the Parabolica. They will go for the final time, and will go on board with Speed Barry to take the checkered flag. But it is Alfa Romeo versus McLaren for top 4, and who knows, if say Frosty suddenly gets 6 seconds of penalties, it may be a fight for the podium. Daniel Alves right behind the Alfa Romeo. Casper's got to go defensive surely, otherwise he's going to lose his position, and he goes defensive very late, but Daniel Alves darts to the left, side by side. Great braking from Casper again, and that is brilliant defending from Casper. We'll go straight back behind because it's Hugolf versus Jim Roy. These are the final battles of this lap. Hugolf's going to squeeze Jim Roy as almost off the track, and he gets in front. Tactician now may get a run on the Red Bull drive. There's been plenty of great overtaking action here today, but I think Jim Roy's just got the power down enough to stay ahead of the Alfa Romeo for the time being. Now Speedbari is approaching the end of this lap. Through the Ascari he goes, so we'll go back to them in a few moments. Is Alves able to come back at Casper? This may be a run to the line, such as the tightness of this battle. He's going to go for it in the Variante Ascari. Oh, they're going to go side by side through the Ascari. Almost, no, not quite. But here comes Speedbari through the Parabolica for the final time, and he is going to take the checkered flag here at Monza and win the Italian Grand Prix, his second victory of the season. Tyrrell Snitzel will cross the line in P2, 14 races in the top 2 at least, but the championship is not decided today. Say Frosty with a brilliant P4, but look at the battle for 4th. It's just going to go right to line. I think Casper's going to just take it, and he does. But let's go behind them because Hugolf, it's going to be all 4 of these cars crossing the line. Look at this, Jim Roy, Tactician, Desso in P7. Oh, look at that, what a battle that was. Brilliant stuff from them, but we'll go on board for Speedbari, who takes the win here. What a brilliant race that was. That was one of my favourite races of the season, but Speedbari with a fabulous performance here in Italy to prevent Tyrrell Snitzel from winning his second title at least for another week.
Yeah, championship goes on for another week. Barry doing exactly what he needs to do. Took the pole position in those tricky wet conditions, went with a soft compound, made his way through the traffic after a pit stop, back to the front. Rare mistake from Schnitzel giving himself a penalty, made it a bit of a foregone conclusion before the end, but even then he was still 4 seconds behind without that, and a really good victory, and there's no way the stewards can take that one away from Barry this time. That is a bit emphatic there from the Toro Rosso driver. Down the field, you've seen Hugolf dropping down now. I get the feeling he might be in the stewards with that Nicholas Matteo incident. It looks like he just turned into him, unfortunately. Point of views can be different, but Speedbari wins, Schnitzel in second, Stay Frosty taking third, Casper in fourth, then it was Daniel Alves in fifth, Jim Roy taking 6 on penalties with Dezo in 7th, Alex with no penalties jumping up to 8th because Hugolf drops to 9th with, he had 6 seconds worth of penalty. Tactician 8 seconds, he had a 5-second stop go added to his time as well, so he finishes in 10th. Lee Finlay in 11th, Nicholas Matteo left the session towards the end after that incident with Hugolf, he's in 12th. Blizzard retired, as did La McQueen, and Fabi retired out on lap 1. So some really good racing there. I think there will be 1 or 2 small incidents, certainly that one between Nicholas Matteo and Hugolf, because Nicholas Matteo has already been in the chat with a bit of a sarcastic comment. Let's just leave it at that. So I do expect to see that one in the stewards. And I watched it back in the stream. It was almost as if Hugolf felt that he was past the Haas and he turned to take the racing line, and the Haas was still 3/4 or a half away alongside. He just rammed into him, unfortunately. But point of views can be very different. We'll need to wait and see.
Right, well, we will focus our attention now for the interviews, so we will get those underway. So we'll switch to the interview box, and I will send an invite out for that. So we will have the top 3 soon joining us, so just give me a moment. Just going to create an invite for those. It looks like the race winner is already here, so that is nice to see. Very prompt entrance, and what a performance it was, and a great race. Let us know what your favourite moments of the race were. There's some great overtaking action during the course of that particular race. Just going to send this for them. So 3 guys who have been on the podium this season, that being Speedbari, Schnitzel and Stay Frosty. So the race winner is already here, so I have shared the invite with the admin, so hopefully they'll get it to the drivers. So Andy, take it away for the interviews. If he's still there.
Oh, I muted myself there, sorry. I was talking to myself there loudly. So, yes, Speed Barry has already joined us, jumped off the podium, straight into the interview room. No way that this race is going to be taken from you this week, Barry. A fantastic performance. You have taken the championship on into next week to Singapore. And for me, that was a perfect race. I mean, how do you feel after that one? Because that looked magnificent out there.
Hi you, Alex, and hi you, and hi everyone actually. And then just honestly, when I was practicing this track, I just honestly don't like this track. But when I was in practice, I was like so fast as well, and I was so comfortable. But yeah, just it was really nice to get the pole. Just did only 5 laps, but to be honest, get the pole. But actually, when I just when we just went to the formation lab, I just saw the tires, and then I told to myself, okay, the race is over actually, because when I just saw Dominic using the medium tires, and just went to my race director, and then just saw everyone on a medium except, I don't know, one of the S2V drivers. I don't know who is that guy. But yeah, just when I just started the race, I was really, after 2 laps, I had only like 50% ERS, because I was only using the ERS because I know I should just break that DRS from Dominic, because if it was in my DRS until lap 3, I can't do anything. So I just break it, and then I think if Dominic didn't do any mistake, he will get the win, to be honest, because I just saw when this Dominic, I don't know where, just after the sector 1, I just he's not behind me. So, and then I just, every lap, I just keep pushing, and then when I just went to the pit, and then just coming like to the traffic, to the 5 people traffic, and then just, I was a little bit nervous, but I was just getting just one, and it was really nice, and I just really should thanks to my teammate. He just really helped me. He just gave me a slipstream, and then just he just gave me an advantage as well. But it was nice race, and then actually I had 2 wins, but that 2 wins is not real in my opinion, because I didn't get the wins in the track. So yeah, this win is really like my best race I have ever done. So I'm really happy. Congrats to the podium, Dominic and Frostby.
Fantastic stuff, and you gave us basically a completely full race review there, to the point that I don't have any further questions about the race because you covered everything already. How do you feel going into Singapore next week then, would be the question. Can you take this into another week before Schnitzel has a chance to wrap up? Can you keep him on his toes?
To be honest, Dominic is really fast. He dominated this season. And then every track, if I want to win, or I just want to, I have a really racing with him, and then I should have an amazing pace to can just keep up with him and have a chance to win. But to be honest, Singapore is one of my favorite tracks. I love it. But let's see what we can do, and then just let's see, I can just carry this crew actually, because I just have like 2 wins. So yeah, let's see.
Well, congratulations on a fantastic.
Can you hear me?
Thank you very much once again for joining us, Barry. Brilliant stuff.
Oh.
We move on to our second place driver, which is of course our championship leader. Yes, yep, we're all done. So we're moving on to, TRL Schnitzel, but he seems to be having some issues possibly because he keeps dropping in and out, but hopefully he's with us there. Dominic, are you there? Having some queries here. we'll hopefully have the race, the second place driver in just a moment. We seem to be having a few dropper issues at the moment.
Yes, unfortunately it seems to be some issues with Discord lagging out here, so I think we may have to cut the interview short there, unfortunately, so very sorry for that. But in terms of the championship, we will be in Singapore next week for the first of our far-flung trips to end what has been a very entertaining season. Perhaps the next week, 2002 will be crowned the two-time champion, but we shall see. Thanks for watching, and see you next time on AOR Racing. Goodbye for now.